Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. It is Monday. We got a lot to do, guys.
Woo! Yeah. First place, Jenny.
Man.
We're in first place, Jenny. We're in first place, Jenny.
Your man LeBron had a rough day and a rough night. First, his Dallas Cowboys got embarrassed again. Then he got embarrassed by what's left of the Miami Heat.
Still.
Lord have mercy.
Still, all I know is we're still up a game.
Yeah.
And once my team is in first place. How you like that, Skip? You like that? First place, baby.
Let's talk about them Lakers. How about
later,
them Lakers?
Shannon, sorry, we're not going to get to that yet. We have to talk about what didn't happen for LeBron and the Lakers last night, because Jimmy Butler had a career game last night to keep the series interesting against the Lakers. With Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic both out due to injury, Butler had a 40-point triple-double in Miami's 115-104 win. LeBron and Anthony Davis only combined for 40 points. And after icing the game, Butler could be heard yelling, "They're in trouble," as he walked to the bench. Butler became the first player to have more points, rebounds, and assists than LeBron in a finals game. Shannon, how surprised were you that the Heat won?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised they won it all. They deserve to be here. I know everybody's thinking that they don't deserve to be here because they don't have a quote-unquote superstar. But they play hard. They play for one another. They don't care who gets the credit. And they did take down and dismantle the #1 seed, the MVP, the Defensive Player of the Year. They did do that. They beat a young and up-and-coming Celtics team 4-2. This is a very well-coached team. They play hard. They play discipline. But the Lakers, Skip, this was a tale of basically the first and the final of the fourth quarter. When you turn the ball over 10 times in the first quarter and your opponent turns it over 3 times, you turn the ball over 5 times in the fourth quarter and your opponent turns it over 1 time, you're probably going to lose that game because you're always digging uphill. And give them credit, Skip. I think they were 11 of 17 in the final quarter in shots. So even though you're playing hard, they're still making shots. And so LeBron, if you were to ask LeBron say, "This one's on me. I'm going to take this one because I know I can't have 8 of the 20 turnovers. I know I can't do that." And Jimmy Butler, I needed to skip. It's not so much the 40 points because, yeah, guy gets hot, you can live with that. But he got other people involved. He had 13 assists. And so now, Skip, look, we know what Bam is. But they're a different team. They might be a better team because listen, let me explain. If you think about it, when you got Bam is not a three-point threat. So Dwight Howard can camp out or AD can camp out under the basket, challenge shots. But when you got Olynyk and when you got Miles Leonard, who has three-point range, now Jimmy gets to work one-on-one. He gets you in a switch. He'll get Caruso, or he'll get Rondo, or he'll get a KCP or Kuzma one-on-one. Who's going to be there to challenge him? Dwight's at the perimeter trying to guard Miles Leonard. So is AD. So they are a different team because all 5 of the guys on the court are three-point viable. And that's something.
So, wait, did you just suggest the Miami Heat are better with Kelly Olynyk in the starting lineup?
He gives them a different flavor than what Bam has. Skip, I believe that because he can open up the court, Olynyk and Miles Leonard, look at what they do. Dwight Howard only played about 13 minutes last night. Why is that? Because the three-point shot, Bam is not going to shoot the three. This is not a knock on him, Skip. It's just like, so let me ask you a question. So why did they go small against the Houston Rockets? Is Marcus Morris better than Dwight Howard, better than JaVale? No. But it gives them a different lineup, and so you have to play accordingly. Am I going to be surprised eventually if they don't gravitate towards Morris? Because without Bam, Dwight really doesn't give you the bang for your buck that you need because they bring him outside of the paint, and Jimmy Butler and these guys get to go one-on-one. So the lanes are open. Give the Miami Heat credit. They made shots because Rondo put them up by 2. And still, they didn't go away. They made shots. They executed their offense. So give them credit. The question was, am I surprised the Lakers lost this game? No. I didn't predict a sweep. I didn't anticipate a sweep, but I do anticipate them not winning another game.
Okay, I would ask you to go back and see how much Kelly Olynyk played in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, because it's almost none.
I know, but Skip, you have to understand, though. You have to. Sometimes it's about matchups. And you look at how much Marcus Morris was playing. He wasn't playing much, but in the Houston series, he provided huge dividends. You can't look at a guy and say, well, he didn't play much, but look at what he's doing now.
Oh. Okay, my turn. Was I surprised? No, I wasn't. I was shocked. This was the biggest single-game upset in the history of the NBA Finals, and it ain't even close.
No, sir.
Show me another one. I'll give you. Okay, I got it. It's my turn. Game 1 was a 12-point difference, said the odds makers, but it was Allen Iverson and Dikembe Mutombo, and they went off on the Lakers, who had destroyed everybody they had played. They didn't take Philly seriously. Game 1 at Staples, Allen Iverson scored 48, and Mutombo had 13, 16, and 5 block shots. Whole different ball game. Let's look at the Heat, shall we? Let's look at who have they lost? Who is Goran Dragic? What had happened through the first 3 rounds of the playoffs? Goran Dragic was their leading scorer at 21 a game. He's out, and I assume he is gone with a torn plantar across the bottom of his foot. They keep saying, well, maybe he'll come back. No, he's not coming back with a torn plantar. Then who else did they lose? The guy you discount, Bam. What is Bam to them? He is, number 1, their leading rebounder, number 2, their leading shot blocker, and number 3, above all, he leads the Miami Heat in playoff assists. So all 4 categories that matter the most, they have lost their 2 top people, which leaves them Jimmy Butler, who's had games in the playoffs of scoring 6 points, 13 points, 14 points. He's not a prolific scorer. He doesn't really like to score. He's not a great shooter, and he is no 3-point shooter. And last night, how many threes did he take? None, which is why he had the single greatest triple-double, 40-point triple-double in NBA playoff history, because LeBron had one, but it was in Game 5 of 2015. They got blown out in Game 5, so I'm going to discount that one. And Jerry West had one in 1969 in the closeout game against the Celtics, but they lost. They only lost by 2, but I'm going to slightly discount that one because Jimmy Butler was the whole show last night. He took the weight of the Heat world on his shoulders, and he refused to lose that game. He outplayed head-to-head LeBron James. He outwilled LeBron James. He out-trash-talked, as Jenny pointed out, LeBron James. And in the end, he even outlasted LeBron James, because I believe that Jimmy Butler is in even better physical condition than your man LeBron James. I've never seen anything like it. He's playing 45 minutes a game, and he is guarding the king. He's playing both ends as hard as he can go, and it looked like the other night in what was it, Game 2, looked like he had turned his ankle so badly that, Game 1, that I didn't think he'd be around for the next couple of games. So he's got a tender ankle, and he played LeBron head-to-head. Most of the time, he took him. And some of the time, LeBron tried to take Jimmy Butler, especially down the stretch, and it just didn't work because he was wheeling and dealing. He was getting whatever he wanted, but they're all 2-point shots. They're all in the paint kind of shots. They're all little trick shots underneath. They're all getting to the foul line kind of shots. And he just said, I will put this team on my back and I will carry it to a do or die win, because if you go down 3-0, you're probably cooked unless it's this team's character is so good they could come back from 3-0. But I sincerely doubt it, because they are supremely overmatched.
They're going to come back from 2-1?
We'll find out, won't we?
No, you want to put some dew on it?
No, I don't. Okay. I don't, because what did I just call it? The greatest single-game upset. It's not even close. This wasn't Allen Iverson and Mutombo. This is Jimmy Butler and nobody. Do you realize Tyler Hero is in the starting lineup now? He is 20 years of age. He is the youngest player ever to start an NBA Finals game. Youngest ever. And I'm looking at Kelly Olynyk. Are you serious? You should be be ashamed of what your people did last night, because LeBron, number one, that was a shameful performance by LeBron James, especially in the fourth quarter, especially.
So in other words, when you said this was the greatest upset meaning nothing was accomplished, this wasn't a miracle on ice, this wasn't Mike Tyson losing to Buster Douglas.
Okay, we're talking about in the NBA playoffs or the finals, right?
So the Lakers go on and win. Will you remember this?
Yeah, I will, because it's impossible. They should have swept.
No, they shouldn't have.
When you take away Bam and Dragic, are you kidding me?
Hold on.
Leading scorer, leading rebounder, leading shot blocker, leading assist.
So these other guys don't get paid, huh?
Well, they get paid, but they're not. They're just guys. You know it, and I know it. And last night, look at the starting lineup. Look what happened. Jay Crowder was 2 of 8 from 3. How about Duncan Robinson, 3 of 10 from 3? How about Tyler Hero, 6 of 18 from the floor? It's not good enough. You should have lost this game by 20.
Well, when you turn the ball over, Skip, you turn the ball over 10 times in the first quarter, you're probably setting yourself up. And like you said about the Philly situation and the Lakers didn't take Philly serious. They came out there, and then they realized, like, oh, y'all came to play. Well, this Lakers team understands that when you don't, and when you turn the ball over like they did, when you shoot the ball as poorly as they did, this team is trying to win a game. They believe, Skip. They believe that they belong, and that's a dangerous man.
I believe only one guy really believes he belongs, and it's Jimmy Butler.
I think he convinced them other guys, too. I think he got them guys convinced also, Skip.
Okay, so at the end of the first quarter, says Jimmy Butler, we didn't get this from LeBron. LeBron, according to Jimmy, said to Jimmy, you guys are in trouble, because clearly they jump out to, what was it, 22-9 lead,
yep.
And here came the Lakers roaring back, and suddenly I look up and the game is tied.
Well, Kuz, right? Remember right at the end of the first quarter, Skip, LeBron passes to Kuz, Kuz hits a three-point shot. So it's 23-26. After being down 13 late in the first quarter.
Okay.
And I guess that's what Jimmy is talking about when LeBron looked at him and said, you know y'all in trouble, right?
Okay. And I don't doubt that LeBron said that. I don't have an issue with LeBron saying that, because that's the way you step on somebody's throat psychologically.
Right.
You know you're in trouble, don't you? And the point was, Jimmy Butler kept saying, no, we're not in trouble. No, he went right back until he finally made that driving shot with 1:15 seconds. It was not an easy shot off the glass.
It wasn't. And he made some tough shots last night.
A lot of tough shots, and he got to the free throw line with a lot of tough drives. And after he made the shot with 1:15 left, he walks, there he is walking back saying, they're in trouble, they're in trouble, they're in trouble. And he's basically trying to tell his teammates, you got to follow me because I'm not afraid of them, and you shouldn't be afraid of them. Okay?
But you know what's happening. You know it's over, right?
Well, you know it should have been over last night.
No, it shouldn't. No.
I mean, that was just shameful.
No, look. See, this is what you do. I see, and I think everybody else sees it. If they sweep them, you minimize it. See, they got swept. If they don't go longer, Michael Jordan would have never done this, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to play two sides of it. But I won't let you.
Two sides of it?
Yes.
All I know is the Miami Heat lost their 2 best players, and you're trying to make a case there. LeBron said after the Friday night game, this is a great team. And I'm like, stop it. A great team? It's the worst finals opponent you've ever had, LeBron James, by far.
Yes.
Okay.
Skip, I think sometimes we look at it and you think, well, this guy doesn't have gaudy stats. Or we look at a football team and it's like, well, they don't have a Brady, they don't have an Aaron Donald, they don't have a Mahomes, and you look at them. But Skip, you have to understand a team, when you can get a group of guys to believe, and I believe that Jimmy is no question the heartbeat of their team. He and Bam, and they do a good job. They always speak about culture. When you can convince 7, 8, 10 other guys that if you do it this way, good things can happen. And for whatever reason, Skip, he's had he's gone to a lot of places and they didn't want to buy in. But he found a place that they're willing to buy in. Chicago was ready to move on. Minnesota was ready to move on. Philly made a conscious decision. We'd rather have Tobias Harris than Jimmy Butler. And Miami welcomed him with open arms. Skip, this is a perfect landing spot because they're the perfect type of guys for Jimmy Butler. Because when you look at him, you're like, Tyler Hero, who the hell is Tyler Hero? Kelly Olynyk, Duncan Robinson, Myers Leonard, Jay Crowder. Perfect. Those are the kind of guys that Jimmy Butler needs. Blue-collar lunch pails, not no superstar. Oh, I want to just go be my team. I want to be the face of the league. Everybody, these are the type of guys
Okay, and I told you 3 weeks ago, we did some top 30 list.
Yes.
I guess we're dealing with Luka. We're just Luka ranked.
Right.
And I went 10, 10, 10 deep. And I forgot Jimmy Butler. I would put him somewhere between 20 and 30.
Right.
But the point is, do I want him in my playoff foxhole? Right. Yes. I picked Miami to upset Boston in the conference finals. Only because I tweeted this, only because of that guy, Jimmy Butler, because he's got winner intangibles and they thrive on them. He's not even their best player. I think Bam all around is their best player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? So he's a cog, but he is the cog when it comes to psychology, intangibles, and rub-off effect. They all follow him.
But Skip, you mentioned about clutch time. You look at the way they execute down the stretch. You look at what they did against Boston down the stretch. You look at what they did against the Lakers down the stretch. Even though the Lakers had come all the way back, had taken a lead by 2 points. And you look, the next situation, they make every shot. From that point on, they seemed like they made every shot down the stretch. They couldn't miss. And when they missed, they got the rebound or Jimmy Butler went to the foul line.
That is correct. And I told you going in, if they could even hang to the last 5 minutes and be within 5, they have a shot because they execute their plays and then they execute you. That's how they play basketball.
And if you look, another thing, if you're going to have 19, 20 turnovers, whatever you have, and you're only a +6 in rebounding, you know the Lakers normally dominate. And the teams that can play close, if you look at the games they lost, what did they do? They turned the ball over against Portland. Portland was right there in the rebounding category. You look at Houston. What did Houston do? Right there, turned them over, right there to rebounding. You look at the Nuggets, the games that they took, what did they do? They turned them over, right there to rebound. If you're going to hang with the Lakers, because they pride themselves on second chance points, and then the Lakers got crushed, what they normally do to other people, crush them in second chance, in paint points.
Okay. And
Miami crushed them.
Yeah, but Jimmy said after the game, the key was we rebounded with them.
Yes.
Well, they came within 6, but I guess he's just saying we didn't get crushed.
We didn't get like 20. We didn't get beat by 14 like we did the other night.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so what happened in the biggest picture last night was that really, in truth, this team goes as Anthony Davis goes scoring the basketball. He gets in early foul trouble, and he couldn't find a rhythm.
Nope.
He couldn't seem to get in sync because he'd be in the game and then out of the game for a long stretch. And he'd come back in, and he wasn't warmed up, and he'd try, and then he'd miss, and then he'd say, maybe this isn't my night. And he was basically out of it the whole game. And once he gets off his rhythm and out of it, they really struggle to score. In the half court.
He opens the court. And Skip, the thing is that he can't be aggressive because what did he get? He got 2 charging calls. So now I got to be apprehensive if I, and they know this. It's kind of like with Jokic's situation when he was playing the Lakers, Skip. He got in foul trouble early, and it seems like little ticky-tack stuff, and they called it, and then now you're like, man, you own the court, as you mentioned. You're on the court for a minute, and next thing you know, you're heading right back to the sideline. But you watch tomorrow night. You watch this team. You watch the focus and the determination in which they play with. You know it's so because the last time there have been 3 guys that trash talked the Lakers. You remember what Dame did? He got stupid, he hit that 3, he got done with it. Russ, he got to get out of, and what did Jamal do? He did a little shimmy. Jimmy talk, it's over, Skip.
Okay, but Jimmy's different than those other guys.
Okay.
He's mentally tougher than the other guys.
Now, Russ
he just doesn't have enough help. So, again, should the Lakers win the next game by 20? Yes, they should. But the truth is, LeBron James owes his team off the fourth quarter last night because Rondo made a shot up off the top of the glass. I don't know how it went in, but it did.
It did.
And it was 91-89. Your guys, with 8:46 left in the game. And then could we see what happened to LeBron in the fourth quarter with, there's the shot that went in. I don't know how this went in either.
I mean, it literally, like when they said the top of the backboard, it literally went on top of the backboard.
Yeah, okay. Then here goes LeBron. He starts to, well, we're still seeing the shot. Okay, now we're to LeBron. And these are his fourth quarter turnovers. There's the first one that was off him. And then here's the second one. This is, he just lost the ball, but they called walking on him. Yep, a travel. And then here's the next one, another cross-court pass, not smart. And then here's the last one, and it's going to be, Olynyk got him.
Yeah.
Kelly Olynyk stole the ball from LeBron James.
Right.
Okay, to me, your mind is not locked in on the game. Maybe you're still thinking about the Cowboys-Browns game. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you're not taking them seriously enough. And then the other problem was I still thought the Lakers, with 8:45 left, had taken over the game again. But LeBron went 0 for 3 from 3. And these are huge shots if we could see them, because any one of these goes in, we might be having a 3-0 conversation right now.
Yep.
That's
his
wide
shot
open.
right there. That's his shot right there, too.
Yeah, they just, excuse me.
And then,
left it wide open.
and Kuzma point-blank putback missed it.
Yeah, that's wide open miss.
Those are his shots.
They're his shots. If he makes one of these, it could be a whole different story. And that one's pretty much uncontested.
Right.
Okay, so it's one of those nights you travel, you turn it over, you get your pocket picked by a 6'11" guy from behind. It's no good. It's embarrassing for him. I expect him to roar back the next game because he does owe his team. And yet I don't expect Jimmy Butler to go away.
Skip, at some point in time, guys are just going to have to knock down shots. KCP, Danny Green, Skip. I mean, this is like 3 games in a row that KCP has shot a shot from the side and hit the corner of the backboard.
He has.
Or hit the top of the backboard.
Okay, but now you're talking like a spoiled Laker fan, because guess who you got off the bench last night? You got 4 of 8 threes from Kyle Kuzma. You got 5 of 11 threes from Markieff Morris. Well, if you told me that before the game, I'd say you win by 20.
Well, no.
That's 9 threes from the bench.
But Skip, but the thing is that your starters, I mean, you got 2, 4, and 5. You got 11 points from 3 starters.
Okay.
And you look at what they got. They got 40, 17, 13, and 12 from their starters.
Okay, but it wasn't like you got blown off the court from the 3-point line, because they shot 35% and you shot 33%.
Right.
So it's pretty close.
Well, sometimes, Skip, 3-point shots is not all about the volume. It's when you make those threes. Because when you're up 2 and you get an opportunity to go up 5, or you're down 1, you get an opportunity to go up 2, that's your opportunity. And they had some great looks. The shot's just not falling. And we've seen the Lakers go in little lulls like this, Skip, and this what's concerning. It's not like they got knocked down, drop down, knockout shooters. That's not what they have. They got guys that are streaky. And if they get hot, they can hit 4 or 5 of those things in a row. Danny Green can get hot and give you 5 made threes. KCP can get hot and give you 5 to 6 made threes. And that's what but Anthony Davis was he couldn't be aggressive because he was in foul trouble. But you watch Tuesday night, got something for you.
Okay. You will be a double-digit favorite on Tuesday night.
I don't care what we're going to be. We're going to be.
And that shapes up as, if the Heat win again, this will be the greatest upset single game in NBA Finals history if they win Game 4.
It's only going to be an upset if they beat the Lakers 3 more times. I don't do the individual upset, the upset within the upset. I don't do that.
Well, it should have been a sweep.
No, it should not have been.
Yeah.
Well, the Clippers should have been there. The Clippers should have been there.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Well, if the Clippers had been there in the Western Finals, then you wouldn't be here in the finals.
Did they have a Western Conference Finals?
Yep.
So did they prohibit? Did they boycott? Did they boycott the Western Conference Finals? Okay, so they didn't.
Is that all you got?
I just asked you a question, Skip.
Yep.
I just asked you a simple question.
LeBron James owes his team for the 4th quarter of Game 3.
Listen, we got this. I just want to know what your guy owed the Clippers after that performance in the 4th quarter against the Nuggets.
Dearly departed.
They departed. When we got something, Jimmy, Skip, let's not minimize what we saw last night with Jimmy.
Yeah.
The 40 and the 13, that's very impressive.
Well, it's a one-man show.
Well, it's very impressive. You can give up 40, but you can't let him get other guys involved.
Yep.
And he got other guys involved.
No mercy.
Dak Prescott and the Cowboys put up more impressive offensive stats once again, but still couldn't keep up with Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Odell Beckham Jr. found the end zone 3 total times, and Cleveland had over 300 rushing yards. Dak became the first quarterback to have 3 consecutive games of 450-plus passing yards, but it came in a losing effort for the 2nd straight week. So, Shannon, what is the biggest reason that the Cowboys lost?
It's Jason Garrett's fault. Because for the last 4 years, I've been up here at this desk, and for the perpetuity, 8-8. That was somebody dubbed it. Call that man Jason 8-8 Garrett. Why is this team unprepared? Why is his team fall behind? It's Jason Garrett's fault. Well, Jason Garrett is not there, and guess what? They fall behind by larger numbers now than they ever did when Jason Garrett. This game, down by 27 heading to the fourth quarter. Down by 15 or 16 against Seattle, down by 19 to the Falcons. Again, your guy, this is a classic example of empty calories, because let me tell you what your guy did when the score was tied 14-14. 14-14, the score was tied. Dak Prescott went 8 of 15, 53 yards. He lost the fumble. 5 drives, 0 points, 5 total first downs. But everybody talking about, man, did you see Dak, what Dak did through for 500? Meaningless. You're down 27 to start the fourth. They ain't playing hard. And if the Browns could catch, they'd have hung 70 on them. If they could just catch the football. Because I got a couple of things I want to show you. I don't even really like showing copy skill, but sometimes to get my point across, I will ask them, video to pull some copy. DJ, drop a track for me right quick. Let me talk over this thing. Now, this is Dak right here. The most accurate guy right here. That's a pick.
Agreed.
Okay, what about this?
I saw 4 of those.
Right here. That's a pick.
There's number 2. Yep. This should have been picked.
What?
This is an easy pick. That's an easy one.
Even the touchdown to
There's a 4th one of those, too. You didn't go farther.
Denzel Ward got the 4th one. Skip. Even the touchdown to Amari Cooper. If the safety doesn't take a horrible angle, that's a pick. He took a terrible angle.
Yep.
And so this is what we're seeing when the game is nip and tuck. Right there to be had for the Cowboys to gain some separation. Nothing happens. But the moment the game gets out of hand and the defense start backing off, it's like, okay, we don't want to give you anything cheap or deep. Okay, here go Dak. Bing, 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 bing. But Skip, where was that when the score was 14-14? He had 5 total drives. He was 8 of 15, 53 yards. He lost a fumble. 5 total first downs in those drives. And I told you what was going to happen. I said, they're going to run wild over you guys. I said, as long as you don't ask Baker Mayfield to win this ball game, they did this without Chubby. Just a matter that they had Chubb Rock toting it.
Well, they had him for a while.
And he left.
Oh, so he ran wild. He had 7.2 yards per carry before he got hurt.
He'd have had more than that had he stayed in there.
Yep. You ever heard of D'Ernest Johnson?
I heard of him yesterday.
Yeah, because he had 90. He led them with 95 yards rushing yesterday.
And then Odell. First of all, Skip, if Baker Mayfield was as accurate as you told me that he was, he had Odell wide open for a touchdown that would have blown the game open. He throws the ball out of bounds. Odell had smoked Worley. I think that's the 28. I think it's Worley. Had smoked it. And then he throws the ball out of bounds. Look at this, Skip, right here. Look at this, Skip. Skip, what is that?
Yep. He threw a bunch of good balls, though.
Yeah. Because they minimized his throws. And you see what a lot of those throws were? What, Skip? Play action. When you can run the ball like that, you're going to get some play action. Oh, Odell. Ooh, Odell looked good yesterday, didn't he, Skip? I love it. I told you. And I told you I saw you coming. That's why I slid that extra case up in that thing.
You did.
Got me 2 of them things off old Skip Bayless.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, then here we go. I'm about to blow the roof off the Fox studios about my Dallas Cowboys that are not mine anymore because I am D-O-N-E done. I told you last week I would give them one last hurrah. Why did I propose the bet with you? Because I wanted to put all of my faith, all of my emotions right out in the middle of the table and say, okay, gentlemen, one last shot at respectability. One last shot at legitimacy. If you are the team I thought you were back in August, a team that I thought could slowly but surely become at least a dark horse contender to win the NFC and get to the Super Bowl, a clear-cut division winner in the NFC least, then you would beat the Browns by 10 or more points yesterday in your own stadium as a 5.5-point favorite. And what happened? They stunk it up worse than they've ever stunk up a home game in my eyes. It was a disaster from start to finish. It was everything that's wrong with this year's Dallas Cowboys because they are all icing and no cake because they have no defense. It's not only the worst defense in the NFL right now, it's the worst defense in team history unless you want to go back to that expansion year in 1960 when they were 0-11-1. I could argue that defense was a little worse than this one, but not much worse because this is all-time humiliating. This is throw up in your mouth humiliating. This was hard for me to watch, hard for me to stomach yesterday, and I have seen enough of it. And I was happy last night that your Eagles actually looked respectable. I thought on defense last night, Philly looked pretty good. Yeah. They went into San Francisco against a Nick Mullins who'd thrown for 346 at Giants, for what it's worth, at Giants, and you were raving about, did you see what Kyle Shanahan did with another quarterback? Yep. And I thought, well, surely he can throw for 250 or 300 against the sorry Eagles, and he could not. He threw for barely 200, and he turned it over 3 times.
Turnovers what killed him.
Just killed him, and all of a sudden I sat back and said, you know what? I'm relieved because the Eagles right now are a little better even than the Cowboys are, which is hard for me to spit out, but it's the truth. They're a little better, and they deserve to be better, and they deserve to be in first place because I told you last week I don't want my team to back into an NFC crown. It would be fraudulent. It would be counterfeit. I don't want a default division championship. What happened yesterday was they actually got off to a decent start, which I hope they would just seize control. But what happened first? The Browns used a trick play to score the 7-0 touchdown. And I immediately tweeted, Browns, you don't get it. You don't need to run a trick play. Just let Baker throw it to Odell because they can't stop Odell. So why would you use a reverse pass? Why would you let Jarvis sort of leap into it like it was a javelin throw?
He put it on the money, too, though.
Hey, he threw it with all of his body and soul is into that throw, and he whipped it as hard as he could, and it hit him right in the hands. It was beautiful. It was. And the point was, I sat back and said, you're rubbing it in, man, because we don't deserve a trick play. You can score it any way you want to score it. You can run it. You can let Baker throw it. You don't need to resort to a trick play. But then what happened right away? What happened to my offense? Here comes my offense, and it goes 5 plays, 89 yards, and CD catches his first touchdown pass from 43, 7-7. Right. Then guess what? Voila. It happened one time yesterday. It actually happened 3, but they made Baker punt. And then what happened? Here we come back again, and we go 9 plays, 84 yards. 9 plays, 84 yards. And the one you talked about, that laser right between the 2 DBs, it probably should have been at least knocked down.
Or Amari should have got knocked out.
Okay. And Amari caught it and was gone because there's nobody left. And that was 4th and 2. And all of a sudden it's 14-7. So don't tell me that they laid an egg from the start because they're up 14-7. And then what happens? You detailed it. The next time they have the football, they wait a second. Dak turns it over. He gets strip sacked by Myles Garrett. Not from the blind side, from the eye side. Dak, you can't get strip sacked from the eye side. You know he's over there. You see where 95 lines up. He's obviously very hard to block. And if he's on Terrence Steele, who is an undrafted rookie out of Texas Tech, what do you think's going to happen? Isn't he going to fly across? And
that's why they put him on that side, Skip, because they don't want him against Tyron Smith. So they want him against your weak tackle.
And they were flip-flopping it? Okay, I got it. So, Dak, you just got to watch it and get rid of it or just duck and cover. If he gets you, live to tell about another play. But he gets strip sacked and gives them a short field. It's 34 yards, 4 plays, and all of a sudden it's 21-14. And then here comes Zeke, and he fumbles and gives them a short, he gave him 51 yards, and it takes him 6 plays, and all of a sudden it's 28-14. So that brings me to the turnovers. My team is dead last in turnover ratio. What usually happens to the team that's dead last? It usually gets the first pick in the draft. Yep. My team easily could be 0-4. You can argue it should be 0-4 because of the miraculous recovery of the onside kick. They didn't really recover it. Atlanta just didn't recover it, right?
I agree.
Okay, so they could be 0-4. And this defense, Mike Nolan's defense, and I know Mike, you know him a little bit. Okay, he's a really good guy. I loved I knew his father very well. He used to play golf with his father, Dick Nolan. He used to coach the 49ers and then was a Cowboy assistant for a long time under Tom Landry. But the point is, Mike Nolan hasn't been a defensive coordinator since he was with the Falcons back in 2012 to 2014. Do you realize what those Falcon defenses finished?
Yeah, I do.
24th, 27th, and 32nd and dead last. Those were his last 3 coordinator finishes. Why did he get this job? Because once upon a time, he gave Mike McCarthy a job when he was the head coach in San Francisco and gave him a big jump start in the not that he hadn't already been, he was on the New Orleans staff,
but he gave him
an opportunity to be a coordinator. And it was a huge deal, so he repaid. It's like cronyism, okay?
Yep.
I don't see any. I don't see any results through 4 games. This is the all-time Dallas defensive humiliation. This is a team that used to have doomsday. Shannon, do you remember? It was just 2 years ago, 2 playoffs ago, that Russell Wilson and company came to Jerry World with the leading rushing attack in pro football. And that day, they got 73 yards rushing. So under Rod Marinelli, I was missing Rod Marinelli last night. I occasionally saw just sparks and flashes of, that's pretty good, right?
Yep.
And under Mike Nolan, I see deadhead. I see lost. I see effortless. I see. Okay, so in the end, what happens? As usual, I've seen this movie 4 times this year. Desperate Dak takes over. When is he at his greatest? When they are hopelessly behind.
Correct.
Well, that's kind of scary to me. You're hopelessly behind, and you're at your best.
There's no expectations, because if you lose, Skip, if you're down with 40 seconds left in the 30, you're down by 27, nobody's expecting you to come back.
Okay, so here he comes, and he puts on a show in the 4th quarter, because that was just spectacular. He threw for what was 254 in the 4th quarter, and 3 touchdowns, and all of a sudden, I look up, and they're down 3. And then what happens? This is bad team football. For some reason, the new kicker, Greg the Leg, he decides to try to trick them again. They'd almost tricked him with a squib kick before. Right. And all you need to do is kick it deep.
Right.
Kick up. You got 3:42 left.
Yes.
See if the defense can come up with a play or 2.
Because you had timeouts. You had 1, I think.
You do.
So, I would agree with you. I was thinking they were going to...
Here we go. I'm about to blow the roof off the Fox studios about my Dallas Cowboys that are not mine anymore because I am D-O-N-E, done. I told you last week I would give them one last hurrah. Why did I propose the bet with you? Because I wanted to put all of my faith, all of my emotions right out in the middle of the table and say, okay, gentlemen, one last shot at respectability. One last shot at legitimacy. If you are the team I thought you were back in August, a team that I thought could slowly but surely become at least a dark horse contender to win the NFC and get to the Super Bowl, a clear-cut division winner in the NFC least, then you would beat the Browns by 10 or more points yesterday in your own stadium as a 5.5-point favorite. And what happened? They stunk it up worse than they've ever stunk up a home game in my eyes. It was a disaster from start to finish. It was everything that's wrong with this year's Dallas Cowboys, because they are all icing and no cake, because they have no defense. It's not only the worst defense in the NFL right now, it's the worst defense in team history, unless you want to go back to that expansion year in 1960 when they were 0-11-1. I could argue that defense was a little worse than this one, but not much worse, because this is all-time humiliating. This is throw up in your mouth humiliating. This was hard for me to watch, hard for me to stomach yesterday, and I have seen enough of it. And I was happy last night that your Eagles actually looked respectable. I thought on defense last night, Philly looked pretty good. Yeah. They went into San Francisco against a Nick Mullins who'd thrown for 346 at Giants, for what it's worth, at Giants, and you were raving about, did you see what Kyle Shanahan did with another quarterback? Yep. And I thought, Well, surely he can throw for 250 or 300 against the sorry Eagles, and he could not. He threw for barely 200, and he turned it over 3 times.
Turnovers what killed him.
Just killed him, and all of a sudden I sat back and said, you know what? I'm relieved because the Eagles right now are a little better even than the Cowboys are, which is hard for me to spit out, but it's the truth. They're a little better, and they deserve to be better, and they deserve to be in first place because I told you last week I don't want my team to back into an NFC crown. It would be fraudulent. It would be counterfeit. I don't want a default division championship. What happened yesterday was they actually got off to a decent start, which I hope they would just seize control. But what happened first? The Browns used a trick play to score the 7-0 touchdown. And I immediately tweeted, Browns, you don't get it. You don't need to run a trick play. Just let Baker throw it to Odell because they can't stop Odell. So why would you use a reverse pass? Why would you let Jarvis sort of leap into it like it was a javelin throw?
He put it on the money, too, though.
Hey, he threw it with all of his body and soul is into that throw, and he whipped it as hard as he could, and it hit him right in the hands. It was beautiful.
It was.
And the point was, I sat back and said, you're rubbing it in, man, because we don't deserve a trick play. You can score it any way you want to score it. You can run it. You can let Baker throw it. You don't need to resort to a trick play. But then what happened right away? What happened to my offense? Here comes my offense, and it goes 5 plays, 89 yards, and CD catches his first touchdown pass from 43, 7-7. Right. Then guess what? Voila. It happened one time yesterday. It actually happened 3, but they made Baker punt. And then what happened? Here we come back again, and we go 9 plays, 84 yards. 9 plays, 84 yards. And the one you talked about, that laser right between the 2 DBs, it probably should have been at least knocked down.
Or Amari should have got knocked out.
Okay. And Amari caught it and was gone because there's nobody left. And that was 4th and 2. And all of a sudden it's 14-7. So don't tell me that they laid an egg from the start because they're up 14-7. And then what happens? You detailed it. The next time they have the football, they wait a second. Dak turns it over. He gets strip sacked by Myles Garrett. Not from the blind side, from the eye side. Dak, you can't get strip sacked from the eye side. You know he's over there. You see where 95 lines up. He's obviously very hard to block. And if he's on Terrence Steele, who is an undrafted rookie out of Texas Tech, what do you think's going to happen? Isn't he going to fly across? And
that's why they put him on that side, Skip, because they don't want him against Tyron Smith. So they want him against your weak tackle.
And they were flip-flopping it? Okay, I got it. So, Dak, you just got to watch it and get rid of it or just duck and cover. If he gets you, live to tell about another play. But he gets strip sacked and gives them a short field. It's 34 yards, 4 plays, and all of a sudden it's 21-14. And then here comes Zeke, and he fumbles and gives them a short, he gave him 51 yards, and it takes him 6 plays, and all of a sudden it's 28-14. So that brings me to the turnovers. My team is dead last in turnover ratio. What usually happens to the team that's dead last? It usually gets the first pick in the draft. My team easily could be 0-4. You can argue it should be 0-4 because of the miraculous recovery of the onside kick. They didn't really recover it. Atlanta just didn't recover it, right?
I agree.
Okay, so they could be 0-4. And this defense, Mike Nolan's defense, and I know Mike, you know him a little bit. Okay, he's a really good guy. I loved his, I knew his father very well. He used to play golf with his father, Dick Nolan. He used to coach the 49ers and then was a Cowboy assistant for a long time under Tom Landry. But the point is, Mike Nolan hasn't been a defensive coordinator since he was with the Falcons back in 2012 to 2014. Do you realize what those Falcon defenses finished?
Yeah, I do.
24th, 27th, and 32nd and dead last. Those were his last 3 coordinator finishes. Why did he get this job? Because once upon a time, he gave Mike McCarthy a job when he was the head coach in San Francisco and gave him a big jump start in the, not that he hadn't already been, he was on the New Orleans staff,
but he gave him,
an opportunity to be a coordinator. And it was a huge deal, so he repaid. It's like cronyism, okay? I don't see any. I don't see any results through 4 games. This is the all-time Dallas defensive humiliation. This is a team that used to have doomsday. Shannon, do you remember? It was just 2 years ago, 2 playoffs ago, that Russell Wilson and company came to Jerry World with the leading rushing attack in pro football. And that day, they got 73 yards rushing. So under Rod Marinelli, I was missing Rod Marinelli last night. I occasionally saw just sparks and flashes of, that's pretty good, right?
Yep.
And under Mike Nolan, I see deadhead. I see lost. I see effortless. I see... Okay, so in the end, what happens? As usual, I've seen this movie 4 times this year. Desperate Dak takes over. When is he at his greatest? When they are hopelessly behind.
Correct.
Well, that's kind of scary to me. You're hopelessly behind, and you're at your best.
There's no expectations, because if you lose, Skip, if you're down with 40 seconds left in the 30, you're down by 27, nobody's expecting you to come back.
Okay, so here he comes, and he puts on a show in the fourth quarter, because that was just spectacular. He threw for what was 254 in the fourth quarter, and 3 touchdowns, and all of a sudden, I look up, and they're down 3. And then what happens? This is bad team football. For some reason, the new kicker, Greg the Leg, he decides to try to trick them again. They'd almost tricked him with a squib kick before. Right. And all you need to do is kick it deep.
Right.
Kick up. You got 3:42 left.
Yes.
See if the defense can come up with a play or 2.
Because you had timeouts. You had 1, I think.
You do.
So, I would agree with you. I was thinking they were going to kick it deep.
Okay, so he tries another weird squib, and they just catch it. Excuse me. And if they catch it, you're in trouble, because they're going to get the ball at the 50-yard line.
Yeah, he catch it with a running start.
Okay, so now it's 1st and 10, and they call another trick play. They call a reverse to Odell. And Aldon Smith, who I've raved about, was a no-show yesterday. He had 2 total tackles, no sacks, no pressures. He did you see 58 at all?
No, Skip. Can we run this back? Now, this is the Cowboys.
Okay.
Now, I want you to tell me, Skip.
Okay, I'm doing this.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what I saw on this play. Aldon Smith finally stays home and makes a good play.
Right, he makes him bubble.
He makes him bend it way back.
Yes.
Excuse me, he bends it back 20 yards.
Yes.
What usually happens when a reverse gets bent back 20 yards?
Oh, you got the pursuit.
The whole defense is waiting for you.
Yes.
You got time to rally.
Yes.
And you got 8 guys waiting to tackle you.
Yes.
Okay, I saw 5 guys, and I saw nobody really try until Jalen Smith dragged him down, and that was like a horse collar tackle.
But here's the thing, though. Look at Jalen Smith in the beginning. Look at Jalen Smith. Here's the thing, though. Look at Jalen Smith in the beginning. Look at Jalen Smith.
Okay.
You tell me Jalen Smith was running at the beginning?
No. Nope.
Because if he was running at the beginning, he'd have got it right to cut off his pass.
Thank you. I agree. That was give up. That was heartless. That was effortless. That was completely unacceptable. I wanted all of them cut the next day just for that play, because you got back in the game. And obviously, that just rips your heart out.
Yeah.
What are you doing? So this is why this is a bad football team. This is a team with a prolific, an explosive offense.
Yes.
That is self-destructive, because to your point, I thought Dak would have had 4 more interceptions yesterday if they just caught the ball. So it's self-destructive, and it's backed up by the worst defense in the National Football League. So in the end, it's like, this is what Jerry asked for. He likes sizzle. He doesn't want the steak. He wants the sizzle. He doesn't want the cake. He wants the icing, because icing sells. So Jerry has kind of what he always dreamed of having. He got
box office offense.
He's got box office, because they are #1 in passing, #1 in total yards, and wait a second, they're only 4th in scoring, because that's not good enough.
Right.
But the point is, they throw it all over the lot. It's fun to watch if you're not a Cowboy fan.
Right.
If you're just a casual fan, you say, wow, this is interesting to me. And they tend to fight back and get back in games that keep you on the edge of your seat.
Yes.
Okay? But then they lose, and they could be 0-4.
They really should be.
Okay? So in the end, it's like, you know, the book, I read the book Dante's Inferno when I was in high school. Okay, so the idea of Dante's Inferno is that the punishment in the afterworld fits the crime. So if you're a bank robber in your earthly life, then your bank keeps getting robbed when you're stuck in hell, okay?
Right.
So this is like Jerry's in Dante's Inferno right now, because this is kind of what he always dreamed of having in the wrong way, right? Because they are box office and they lose, really.
I thought the Cowboys defense, I was concerned, and I voiced my concerns. but Skip, I didn't think it would be this bad, is that because here's what happens. When you expect someone else to make the play, that means you loaf. If you look at that play that Alden Smith made Odell bubble, guys are loafing to the play. Somebody else is going to make the play. And then if you, Skip, I'm watching the game, and then you get guys, if you just play your responsibility, Skip, if you got outside leverage, don't try to jump inside, because what happens? The guy starts inside, and then he bounces, and where you were supposed to have been, now he gets 15, 16 yards on a run. This is bad football.
Okay.
And Skip, you got what you got. There's nobody, Randy White and Bob Lilly and Ed Too Tall, ain't nobody walking through that door.
Nope.
This is what you got. Your secondary is really not that good. And if you can't, Odell and Jarvis and them could have had like 200 yards apiece, but because they couldn't stop the run, they just turned around and handed, like you said, Dearness, I don't even know. I'm like, who is this? Where you come from?
Dearness Johnson.
I'm like, they just signed a kid. They just playing with the Cowboys. They just say, hey, you like you a good running back. Come on and run.
Kareem's got a groin. You know, like he was hobbled.
And Kareem, he was hobbled and got 71 yards.
Okay. I'm going to say it one more time. I've said this until I'm cowboy blue in the face. I would have signed Earl Thomas before the season started. I know about all the baggage. You know about all the issues that blew him up in Seattle and Baltimore. I get all that. He's just so much better than anybody they have in their secondary. He's a made man. He's won championships. He's been, what is it, like a 6 or 7-time Pro Bowler?
Yeah, he went 7.
And he made his 7th last year in Baltimore. Could be on reputation, but at least he's got some authority to him when he walks in the door.
But it's being reported that the players in Houston got to Bill O'Brien says, we don't want him in our locker room.
I do not doubt that report. I get it.
I've never heard that, though, before.
Okay, it's possible some of the Cowboys said, no, we don't want him in our locker room. I just want him in my secondary because it's the worst I've ever seen. And at least he could have made a play or two that might have changed the Seattle game. He might have made a play or two that would have changed yesterday's game because they have nobody to make plays. Do you realize they have now 9 giveaways? They have only 2 takeaways. Yeah. Well, that's so bad. You've played 4 games. You can't take the ball away. No. If you're bad and you can at least occasionally cause a turnover.
And normally bad defenses can't take the ball away. Right. Skip. That's one of the reasons why you're bad is because you can't turn the team over. You can't get pick sixes, or just forget pick sixes, Skip. Yep. You just want a turnover at this point.
You got it. And my final insult to injury came when LeBron James, your man, was tweeting. And again, he's a Cowboy fan, and now he's tweeting yesterday for Odell after the big 50-yard run. OBJ with lots of exclamation points. Bro, let's go. #Browns. You're a Cowboy fan. Skip. We have proof. Have you seen him? He's worn cowboy garb to Browns games.
Can he not?
That's him at a Cowboys at Browns game.
Can I ask you?
Way to go, LeBron. I love it.
Hold on, but what about this, Skip? Odell is his friend.
Yeah. Look.
I mean, he want his friend.
There he is with your guy.
Skip, he want his friend to do well. Oh. I mean,
look, he's got a Jason Witten jersey on. You believe in this? That's your guy. He's a Jason Witten fan.
Is no longer there, so so when he's supposed to be a Vegas Raiders fan?
No, this is back in the past. And again, the Cowboys would play at Browns, and he would go down on the field and hang out with the Cowboys. Yeah. Well, don't be tweeting about #Browns.
Talk about.
I don't need that.
You just gave up. You just spent at your opening salvo. You said you were done with the Cowboys. Did you not just say that?
He jumped bandwagons, though.
You just jumped, too.
Okay, well, I didn't jump on somebody else's bandwagon. I'm not suddenly an Eagles fan.
You'll be back, though. Something to tell me. Who y'all got this week?
The Giants.
Look how you said that. Yeah. The Giants. You know they terrible.
They are terrible, but the Eagles are right now better than Dallas.
So are you.
Yeah.
Hold on. Talk about, Skip. You talk about, the Giants are terrible. What you think teams say about y'all?
I told you we're terrible. Yeah. Yep. We're done.
What did you say about
the Eagles? Baby. Walk into them.
Giving compliments to the Eagles around here?
We better more than what you guys are.
Oh, they're at the
whatever you are,
right now.
We're better than that.
Okay, we're going to get to the Eagles, I promise, because I need to hear what you guys think. But Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, well, they started off slow, but once they got rolling, they did look nearly unstoppable. Coming back from down 17 points, Brady ended up finding 5 different receivers for touchdowns throughout the game, and that is the first time he's ever done so in his career, guys. Brady also overcame an early pick 6 with 369 passing yards, and more importantly, the 38-31 win. So Shannon, please give Mr. Tom Brady a letter grade for his performance.
I gave him a B, Skip. I thought once they shored up the protection and made him feel comfortable in the pocket, he looked like the Tom Brady. He started getting the ball out. Skip, if you look at what he was doing now, he had 9 targets to Roe Jones. A lot of the stuff is starting to implement that he's getting back to things that he feels comfortable with. It's not all those shots down the field that they asked Jameis to do last year. And so I thought once he got comfortable, he got settled in, he played well. So I gave him a B. But, Skip, this game turned. On one side, Skip, you know I love Anthony Lynn. I played with A. Lynn. We won Super Bowls together. But he has to do a better job of understanding situational football. Skip, you have a 24-7 lead. It's 47 seconds to go. You got a rookie quarterback. Go into the locker room. The Bucs have 1 timeout. Go into the locker room feeling good about what you accomplished in the first half. Take a knee. Go to the locker room. What does he do? Try to run some zone read. And Dominican Sue blows the play up, fumbles the ball.
They blew the play up.
Yeah.
It was their fault. No, but Sue didn't even get there. It was already blowing up before he got there. They missed the handoff.
Just take the knee and go in. And so, Skip, Tampa gets the ball. Couple of plays later, they score a touchdown. What should have been 24-7 is 24-14. And all the momentum, all the goodwill you had built up by getting this lead on the road is gone now. And if you look at the second half, Tom comes out, they make a few adjustments, and they don't look back. I thought the Chargers played really well. The Chargers really were in this game to the very end. But you can't do that. Situational football, and so many coaches don't understand it. Skip, that is a rookie. If that's Aaron Rodgers and you want to do a situation like that, have at it. But in this situation, I do not believe A-Lynn, because this is how you know he was wrong. Because he got the ball further up with those still same 2 timeouts, and what did he do? He took a knee, which tells me you should have took a knee at the beginning. So give Tom his credit, give the Bucs their credit. I'm surprised the success that the Chargers had against this defense, considering he's a rookie. Todd Bowles liked to blitz. Rookies like to blitz anybody into oblivion. But once Eckler went out, they didn't really have the ability to run the football. That showed. But I'm going to give the credit Justin Herbert. 20 or 25, Skip, for 290 and 3 touchdowns. He played well. But I'm going to give Tom a B. Pick 6 again, Skip. He's still throwing that ball outside late and low, and it's going to the house the other way.
Okay, my turn. The Tom Brady I saw yesterday was 43 going on 23. You say his arm strength has diminished. I don't see a hint or ounce of that. I still see the same arm I always saw. He never had a cannon to start with.
No.
But I'm going to remind you, he did complete passes yesterday of 48, 44, 28, and 29 yards. So it's not like he's dinking and dunking the whole game. And I'm going to give him an A- for the day, and the minus comes on, obviously, the pick 6. That's the second time he's thrown the same play, pick 6, both times targeting Justin Watson, who is a third-year receiver from the Ivy League, from Penn. No disrespect to the Ivy League, but he was a 5th-round pick. And I don't know why Tom keeps trying this play. It's the same twin out routes play where you pick one side or the other. I don't know what he's doing, but he's thrown both of them to Justin Watson. You know what Janoris Jenkins did to him week 1 at New Orleans. Same play. I don't know why he keeps pressing and pushing it to Justin Watson, but he does, and that cost him again.
But, Skip, if you look at the DB, he read this formation. Skip, you can't throw that route if he's cluing. If he's off like that, you run that speed out, and you late, it's going to the house.
They had run a pump and go to Mike Evans earlier in the game, but this isn't Mike Evans.
Right.
This
you don't
is
have
Justin
that kind of respect.
Watson.
You don't. No. They're not respecting him.
All right. So what happened yesterday? Do you realize the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or Succaneers, had lost 42 straight games in which they trailed by 17 or more points? That's because you had the GOAT yesterday. And the GOAT did something that he does the best. That's 34 times that he's come from 10 or more points down in his career. That's the NFL record in that statistical category.
Yes.
By far. 34 times he's pulled that off. So they are down 24-7. They did get a gift touchdown to make it 24-14, and then here he came. And if we could just see what he did to little Scotty Miller, who I kept pumping through the whole offseason, I said, this is the new Amendola Edelman. And if we could see, he threw 2 passes. This is the go-ahead touchdown. The first one this is the bomb to Scotty Miller. That'll work. That was a pretty good throw. And then he comes right back the next play action, zip over the middle, little Scotty Miller touchdown. He can fly. He's small. He's 170 pounds. Can he last? Can he stand up to the punishment he's going to have to take?
Well, they're not going to use. They don't use him like Edelman, Skip. They don't run him. They put him down the field.
They split him out and let him run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the point is, they lost O.J. Howard yesterday to. God bless him. I'm going to knock on wood for him. He tore his Achilles. I don't know why it happens. I can't explain it.
I don't think anybody can explain that.
But once it happens, you're just gone for a long time.
Yes.
Maybe more than a year, as we saw with Kevin Durant. And then Chris Godwin continues to have what may be a hamstring tear, and I have no idea what his ETA is.
Right.
Because it sounds bad. And then Mike Evans turned, I thought it was his knee first, but he hurt, I guess they said it was his ankle, and it was in the first quarter, and he didn't come back until later in the third quarter. So they didn't have him for a long stretch of this game. And they still hung on and kept battling back because Brady is still Brady to me. And again, he got them to 3-1. Now they go to Chicago. They'll be favored by, I guess, 5-6 points on Thursday night at Chicago. Nick Foles, after his miracle that he made the first time, he wasn't miraculous yesterday.
I tell you, because now you have expectations of Nick Foles, and it's easy to come off the bench. But, Skip, if you look at the play he threw to Scotty Miller, they went max protection. If you look at the play that he hit Miller for the touchdown, it was off play action. So if you can run the football and let Brady play action, Skip, there were days that Tom Brady they couldn't run the football and Tom could just stand in there and throw it. Those days are over. If you need to max protect him, because early on the Chargers were getting to him.
They roughed him up. They knocked him down
especially
2 or 3
the first
times.
half. Especially the first half.
On one blitz, a blitzer got him right in the breadbasket.
Yes,
you know,
he got rid of the ball, but they brought a double blitz. It was two DBs, and but. If you're going to protect him up, and that's what Skip, that's what you might have to do. There might be situations where you can't always scat protect, where you get everybody out in the route and you just have 5 guys because they'll bring one more. Because the thing is, as you get older, you want to try to put hits. I want Tom Brady to pick himself off the ground. I want his lineman to help Tom get up off the ground. Even if I don't sack him, I just wanted him to feel my weight on top of it. And but give Bruce Arians credit. They locked it up. They did a better job of protecting him. He got the ball out, and he made some plays.
He did, and so did Justin Herbert. And my only cause to pause off this game was I'm such a big fan of Todd Bowles, and I've been a huge fan of this defense. They let Justin Herbert bomb them twice for 53 and then 72, and the 72 came on 3rd and 14.
No, you can't do that.
And he just let it fly, and they got somebody behind both times, completely behind the secondary. And the ball was on the money, and he's got a big arm. He's 6'6".
Skip, he was 20 or 25. And if you look at it, and not to get too far, but you look at what Joe Burrow was doing. He's 3 straight games of 300 yards or more. These kids because these kids start going to these passing camps, Skip, when they're 10, 11 years old. They're more proficient at throwing the football now, and this is what you're seeing. I'm surprised. I mean, I guess excuse Todd Bowles' defense, you go 20 or 25, Skip, a rookie? Because you know Todd Bowles, he pressure. He all about pressure.
I remind everybody, the Chargers defense, they held Mahomes down to 9 points through 3 quarters. It was 17-9 Chargers, and Patrick came back and won in overtime. So this was a legit test, even though it was at Tampa.
Well, I think the thing is, Skip, now they're missing Melvin Ingram. And so now Joey Bosa gets all the attention. Melvin Ingram has gone to Pro Bowls. And so when you got those 2 guys, and that's what they had the first game, is that Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa was causing a whole lot of conflict in the backfield for Patrick Mahomes. Now that Ingram is not there, Bosa gets all the attention. We're going to slide in protection. We're just going to make sure we neutralize you because we don't feel you have anybody else that can dominate a game. So it's going to be very interesting seeing what they do going forward. But I still believe that had they run, I would like to see the outcome of the ball game, Skip. if they don't get that gift touchdown right before the half and start to feel good about themselves going in at half.
Yep. So I got to give my school one quick shout out because I told you right after the draft that Tampa Bay stole little Keyshawn Vaughn in the 3rd round. He can play. He caught the game-winning touchdown pass yesterday. He was a COVID victim, so to speak. You know, like he was gone for a while because he was a COVID on the COVID list. And he can run. He's got quickness. He's got burst, and he's got stature. And Brady is trusting him. He could be the James White.
Well, that's the thing, Skip. They got a bunch of guys that can catch the ball. Because if you play running back with Tom Brady, you got to be able to catch. It's as simple as that, Skip. You just can't be a running back. You have to be an all-purpose back because you're going to run it, you're going to throw it, catch it, and you got to be able to block.
Got to be able to block.
So those are the type of guys. You know, I'm sure Brady would love to have a Zeke Elliott or Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, but he needs you got to be multifaceted to play in the backfield with him. But give him credit. He took some shots early. He gave up the pick six. A lot of guys get pick sixes. It changes the way you throw. Like, I got to be careful. I can't. Nah, he's like, nah. I'm Tom Brady. Hey, I made a mistake. I'm coming back.
Yep. Way to go, Tom.
No mercy.
As the Heat dribbled the ball out with 10 seconds left in their Game 3 win last night, LeBron decided to walk off the court and leave the game early. Some of LeBron's teammates followed, but with the shot clock expiring, the Lakers needed subs to come in and finish the game with 0.7 seconds left. Shannon, I want to start with you. Was this inbounds or out of bounds by LeBron?
Well, I think the thing was I don't know if he knew exactly. I think the thing, Skip, he thought the time would expire and didn't realize that it was like a 0.7 difference in between the shot clock and the time clock. And so he just like walked off the court. And I've seen him do it, Skip, I've seen him do it even when they're winning, and that he'll just throw the ball to someone else bring the ball up the court, and he starts walking off knowing that the game is over. It just looks bad because they had to sub people in, Skip, because once everybody saw him walking, then everybody else walked off the court. And so Frank Vogel had to get subbed in the game to get the 0.7 off. So it's just a bad look. But it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to overblow this situation and say, oh, it's bad sportsmanship. No, this is not. If you want to say this is not what the Pistons did to Michael Jordan, Skip, at the end of the game when they wouldn't shake that.
But the series was over.
Right.
They had been swept.
They had been swept. So for me, Skip, I don't want to make a big deal out of this. Would I have preferred he stayed on the court and everybody stay on the court? Then you just, take the ball out, pass it to, throw the ball to the official? Sure, that didn't happen, but it's not a big deal.
I tend to agree with everything you just said. I can't get all that worked up about this. In fact, I chose last night not to even tweet about it when it was glaringly obvious that he had left early, and Mark Jackson on the ABC telecast did make note of it.
Right.
The issue here is I'm not all that worked up about it, but I'm pretty sure the Heat will be worked up about it. So you're playing to their strength, which is intangibles. That's really all they have. They're completely overmatched physically. The Lakers still have by far the 2 best players on the floor. And I'm going to assume, though I don't know this for a fact, that the Heat will still be down Dragic, their leading scorer in the playoff, and maybe down Bam. He might have a better chance of coming back than Dragic, but probably it sounds like he's hurt. It's either shoulder or neck. They're non-specific about it, but they'll probably be down their leading rebounder and shot blocker and assist man. Okay, so it should be an epic mismatch again, unless you relight their fire, unless they feel so disrespected that you can't even sit still for the game to end, a game that they won against all odds, that you are just dismissing them and disrespecting them by sort of snubbing your nose at them. You know, you're just nose up in the air. I don't even want to associate with this mess that's on the floor.
He said he was frustrated and he mistimed it. He thought the clock would expire and he was frustrated. So he admitted.
He said it was both.
Right.
Okay. Got that. But if I know Pat Riley, and I think I do, he will definitely make a speech about this to the team. Do you realize what he didn't think of you guys? Do you realize how he's looking down his nose at you guys?
He didn't even want to be on the court with you after you kicked.
Right.
Pat Riley going to say after you guys kicked his ass, he didn't even want to be on the court with you. That's what Pat's going to say.
Okay. And we're back to Jimmy Butler. In the first quarter, LeBron says, you guys are in trouble. Kuzma had made a big three, and they'd caught them from a 22-9 deficit. And it looked like and felt like to me the Lakers were about to go on a run and win by 20 points. And I'm sure LeBron thought that. So then Jimmy makes his shot at the end of the game, 1:15 left, and he storms off toward his bench saying, they're in trouble, they're in trouble, they're in trouble. Well, as far as intangibles go, you're up against a force of nature here. It's almost like Tebow-esque, where it's not about his ability, it's about his will.
Right.
Well, Jimmy Butler's got huge will. He doesn't have the most extraordinary talent.
Right.
He's not the greatest shooter. He's not a three-point shooter to speak of.
Not a great leaper. Doesn't have great not known as a ball handler.
Nope.
He's just a basketball player. Skip, you know what it is? You haven't covered the game for 40 years. Sometimes it's not just, and we get so caught up. It's not always about catching, throwing, or tackling. And it's not always about, assisting the basketball. It's other things. Jimmy has that it. Whatever that it is. Can he score like Kevin Durant? No. Can he rebound like Dwight Howard could in his prime? Could he block shots like Mike? No, he could do none of that. But he can do a lot of everything.
Yep.
And he does it well. And he can convince people. That's the best part about being a leader. The greatest thing about being a leader, because Skip, a lot of times people don't believe this, but the greatest leaders weren't always the greatest soldiers. They're not always the greatest fighters, but they can convince a man or convince a woman that they can do things that they didn't think they could do.
I agree.
And that's what Jimmy Butler
is.
Jimmy Butler has given the Heat belief. He's like, bam, you're a double-double guy. You could be an all-NBA player. You could make the all-star team. And guess what? Guys started believing it. He's like, Tyler Hero, who cares if you're 20? You belong here. It's still basketball. You were playing, you came to the NBA at 20, so what's the difference? The goal is still regulation.
Yep.
It's the court is still, the dimensions are still the same, so what's the difference? He's gotten these guys to buy into it. Now, the Lakers got the handful. Now, they're just not going to skip. I believe the Lakers will win the next two. But if you think they're just going to go, oh, man, okay, you got us now. And we just going to go away. We won one game. They didn't want to get swept. They believe they can win this thing, Skip.
The shock to me was that in game 1 and game 2, the Heat didn't play hard. That they played not to lose, just to hang on. And it wasn't the Heat that I saw against the Celtics or going back to the Bucks or going back to the Pacers. Last night, they played Heat basketball, where they're fearless and they're going to keep making little big plays that he initiates. Every time he initiated, and he was driving me crazy. There were at least 3 times when I thought he had a step in the lane driving on LeBron or whoever it was, KCP, and at the last second, he decided to turn and try to find a perimeter shooter. And I thought, you got an edge, just go ahead and try to get to the foul line. Try to lay it up high off the glass. Try to dunk it. And yet he's so unselfish that we've never seen a guy who can play like a superstar, who has no ego whatsoever, because he does not care. Like I said, he scored 6 points in the closeout game against Indiana. You think he went home and pouted about it?
No.
No, he did not.
No. Nope. Because, Skip, you remember, he scored 40 in the first game, and then he come back the next game, he had like 13. He didn't care. He says, we won.
He truly doesn't seem to mind.
Right.
So, to me, for LeBron, yeah, it was a bad look. It's sort of diva-ish behavior, and it reminds me a little bit of LeBron after he had the great game closing out the Nuggets, and they were celebrating, and he went and sat to the side of the celebration on the floor because he knows the cameras will find him. It's like, I am above all this, and he was above the mess that they made on the floor last night. I don't want to associate. I'm gone.
Well, he was a part of it, and I think he understands that. But, Skip, I've seen guys that when they want to, you win the NLCS, or you win something, or you win the AFC, NFC championship game, guys are like, no, I don't want to touch the trophy. I don't want no T-shirt. I don't want that. This is not the T-shirt. This is not the hat that I want. This is not the trophy that I want to touch. And some guys won't touch it. I wasn't one of those guys because I didn't know if I was going to get an opportunity to get back to. So I'm touching everything. Give me a hat, give me a T-shirt. But some guys in but Skip, LeBron is different. See, Michael Jordan and Kobe and guys like that, they don't get excited about winning Eastern and Western Conference title because ultimately you know how they're going to be judged. And so for him, yeah, it was a great, I just spent 40 minutes. This was a tremendous feeling. But ultimately, Skip, I'm not going to be judged that I go the #1 seed, I made it out the West. The only thing that matters, did you bring home that Larry O'Brien award?
That is correct. So the difference between basketball and your game, football, is usually in a one-game winner-take-all football format.
Yeah, anything happen.
Anything can happen because you can play so high up. You know, you can raise your psychological, emotional level to such a degree that you can pull off an upset just on raw emotion. You can just play harder than the other team, and it will work.
Yeah.
In basketball, it usually doesn't work because there's too much finesse involved.
Right.
You have to key down enough that you can shoot it with ease and poise.
Right.
You know, you have to be able to make your shots. You can't brick your shots because you're playing out of your mind with emotion.
But think about it, if this was football and Jimmy Butler did what he did, they would be the champs. Nick Foles playing against Tom Brady. So Skip, we've seen situations where guys rise to the occasion, and for one game, and that's what, Skip.
Well, I told you going in, if it were one game for all the marbles, I would give Jimmy Butler and company a shot.
And this is why you have to have nothing but respect for Tom Brady, because he's won 30 Game 7s. That's what NFL football is. It's a Game 7. There ain't no tomorrow. There ain't no, well, we'll get him, we'll make our adjustment. It's a feeling out period. A feeling out period means you're cleaning out your locker on Monday, Skip, and you're going home, and I'll see you next year. So that's what football is. It's a Game 7 every single playoff game. And Tom Brady has won 30 of those.
He has.
I think it's 130.
30 and whatever.
Yeah, I think it's 30. You figure 9 Super Bowls, so you got to win at least, 2 games to get to the Super Bowl. So that's at least 8. So he's won 30 of those. It's unbelievable. But give Jimmy credit. They won. LeBron. Now you got to make them walk off the court before the game ends.
LeBron better be ready to play.
He'll be ready. He'll be more than ready. More than ready.
Like all-time ready.
And guess what? AD gonna be more than ready.
Okay, he better be.
I'm going on record right now, 80, 40, and 15.
Really? AD?
AD.
Well, they do go as AD goes.
80, 40, and 50. I know what you try to do, Skip, but you're not finna get me upset. I'm not finna let you, don't even worry about it. AD going 40 and 15.
All right.
LeBron going 25, 13, and 12.
That's all?
That's it. That's all we gonna need.
Your confidence, Shannon.
That's all we need.
Let us down around here.
No mercy.
Dak Prescott and the Cowboys have put up more impressive offensive stats once again, but still couldn't keep up with Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Dak's 502 passing yards made him the first quarterback to have 3 consecutive games of 450-plus passing yards, but it came in a losing effort for the second straight week. So, Shannon, please give Dak a letter grade for yesterday.
I'll give you a hit. What'd you think it is, Skip?
The old fail?
Yeah, you know.
You gave him an F?
F.
Wow.
F. Capital. Capital.
I thought I was a tough grade.
No. You easy. You probably gonna give him a B+ or some B- or something like that. You get nothing. Hold on, Skip. Look, if I told you failed a class, there's no extra credit you can get to pass the class. Now, when they were down 20, I keep going back to this. The game was tied 14 for the people at home. The game was tied 14-14. On the Cowboys' next 5 possessions, led by Dak Prescott, 5 drives. He had 0 points, 5 first downs. He was 8 of 15 for 53 yards and a fumble loss. Now we go on the flip side. They're down 27. He throws for 275 and 3 touchdowns. What am I supposed to do with that, Skip? Hold on. You got me in this position. You don't get to get credit for rescuing me if you're the one that drilled holes in my boat and sank it. Or I saved you. No, you drilled holes in the boat. You're the one while we're underwater. I can't give you credit for saving me. I can't give you credit for all. First of all, Skip, you didn't save me. You saved them against Atlanta. You didn't rescue me here. You didn't rescue me at the Rams. You didn't rescue me at Seattle. You left me. I can't give him a passing grade, Skip, because he turned the football over, he fumbled, He did that. He threw a pick. He did that. And he should have had 3, 4 more picks.
Agreed.
So I can't give him anything but an F.
This is the same Dak Prescott that through the whole offseason you said deserves $40+ million a year.
It.
$42 million a year.
Yep.
Mahomes category money.
Yep.
Said Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe, Dak Prescott should get. That he deserves, that he has earned.
Yes.
The last 13 games last year, you gave him 7 out of 13 Fs, as in flunk, as in fail.
Yeah, he earned them, Skip.
Right?
Yeah, he earned this one, too. What you gonna give him?
Okay, I want to remind everybody, you just gave a man an F who completed 41 passes for 502 yards and 4 touchdowns. You gave a man an F who in the fourth quarter alone completed 21 of 30 for 254 and 2 touchdowns. Think about that, 21 of 30 for 254. If you told me those were Dak's final numbers from yesterday, I'd say that's not terrible. 21 of 30 for 254. It's better than a lot of quarterbacks did yesterday, right?
Yeah.
That was only in the fourth quarter. So, to your point, I'm not going F, but I'm going C- because he did a lot of great things. And as usual, he did a lot of self-destructive things. And I'm with you. This was different than Seattle or the Rams, because in this one, or even for that matter, Atlanta, even though they turned it over early a lot, this one, he threw 4 balls up for grabs that should have, could have, should have been picked.
Yeah.
At least a couple of them should have been caught by the other team. And the point is that the balls that the Browns didn't catch kept Dak Prescott in the game. If you catch those balls, it's such a disaster that it's a big rout. It's what you said. Cleveland could have scored 70.
Yeah.
Cleveland could have won this game 70-30, and instead it became a 3-point game. What are you doing? How do you do that? And then, of course, the Cowboys upchucked at that point, predictably. But the point is that Dak Prescott now, he leads the league by far in passing yards, like by far.
It's not even close.
Yeah, he's 369 yards ahead of Josh Allen as the passing yardage leader.
Right.
This team could be 0-4, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in the end, the bottom line is last year you went 8-8. This year you well could be 0-4, and you are 1-3. So if we keep score on Jerry versus Dak in the ongoing negotiation that could start up again after this year, do you give him a long-term contract? I still say it's advantage Jerry Jones. I still say he made the right move to dig in at what I thought was $36 million. You say it's 33, but $36 million with 80 guaranteed at signing. I thought that was, and you even agreed, a very fair offer that I believe Dak should have taken, because he hadn't earned any more than that, because he was 1-2 in the playoffs.
Okay.
And last year, he missed the playoffs and was terrible down the stretch, say, at New England, against Buffalo, at Chicago, and then at Philadelphia. He just wasn't very good.
Right.
And yesterday, he put up gaudy numbers, another cardiac Cowboys comeback with nothing to show for it.
Right. Empty calories.
Right. Okay. So, to me, it's advantage Jerry. I think Jerry is looking the better right now that he didn't give Dak the big contract.
Well, I don't see how he thinks that, Skip, considering that Deshaun Watson got $39 million with 2 years left on his deal. I don't see how he thinks he's going to come in with Dak with no years left on his deal. Is going to give it. And plus, Skip, you have to understand, is because Deshaun has 2 years left, you can spread that out. Dak has nothing. What you going to spread? I just don't understand how you give a man a grade that when they're down 27. Skip, if I'm running 2 miles, if I run the final mile in world record pace, but I still lose by a lap, what have I done? Yes, he threw for 500 yards. Skip, they got beat by 11, and it should have been more.
Yep.
He had 5 drives when the score was tied. Okay, Skip, if he does something in these drives, Skip, 5 drives with 5 first downs, 8 of 15 for 53 yards. Let that sink in. A guy that throws for 502 in a 5 possession stretch, he throws for 53 yards, and you just gave him a C.
Yet, C-, yet he did what I asked him to do, get off to a hot start, at least a better start. He got off to a rip-roaring start.
Yeah.
They're up 14-7 at the end of the first quarter. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay, I loved it because you had 2 long drives and 2 touchdown passes, one to CD and one to Amari. You said it should have been picked or knocked down, or he should have been knocked down.
Yes.
But he lasered it right between DBs, and it looked sensational.
But, Skip, like you tell me, is the game over at the first quarter?
Nope.
Okay, so what did he do in the second quarter?
He coughed it up.
Okay.
And then his teammate Zeke, who was kind of a no-show yesterday.
Well, it's kind of hard to be a show when you down, because the score was, what, 28-14 at the half?
12 carries for 54 yards, but he did catch 8 balls for another 71, so they're throwing it to him a lot. And by the way, he caught all 8 of them, so I got to give him credit for that.
But, Skip, for me, at some point in time, you're going to have to do away with these empty calories. They have no nutritional value for you because they don't go to your winning. They don't look great on the stat sheet. He going to throw for 6,000 yards and win 5 games. What does that got you?
What did I tell you last year? He led the league by far in second half passing yards. And it got them to 8-8.
Right.
And it got Jason Garrett to the Giants because he got fired.
It just goes to show you. Now, I remember when Aaron Rodgers went 15-1 and his defense was dead last. That's what Aaron Rodgers did. See, Mike McCarthy got a lot of people fooled. When you got Brett Favre and you got Aaron Rodgers, that's what you have. You go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Skip, hell, I can coach them.
I'd say you could.
I don't really look at coaches when they have these historically great quarterbacks and say, oh, he automatically great. No. Okay, when you didn't have those guys or when those guys are out, can you still manufacture ways to win games? We saw when Aaron Rodgers got healthy what Mike McCarthy looked like with Brett Huntley. What he looked, we've seen him. So I'm gonna need him to get that same criticism they've been giving on Jason Garrett. OJ, Red, you. It was you. It wasn't about, I don't care about everybody. I'm talking about you. You was the harsh 8-8 Jason.
Well, that's all he ever was.
With 1-3 Mike. That's what they call him, 1-3 Mike. Should be over.
Well, it's the other Mike I got problems with, as in Mike Nolan. He should be gone today. Gone today.
Skip, it's at the quarter pole.
They're dead last. Do you think they're suddenly going to snap their fingers and get a lot better?
Where are you at the first half scoring? Where are you in first half scoring?
You mean through the first 4 games?
Yeah. Not good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, first quarter scoring yesterday, 14-7.
Yeah, and then you were done for the rest of the half. Well, and then what about the third quarter?
At 14-7, then they gave up, 14-14, they gave up 34 unanswered.
34.
Yikes.
34, Skip.
And then Cleveland gave up 24 unanswered in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skip, y'all in trouble.
And then we decided not to tackle Odell.
What about my guy walking to him? How he look last night?
Not pretty shaky, honestly. He threw one ball to somebody I'd never heard of.
Did you? Let that sink in for just a second. So just imagine if he had Amari and Gallup and CD. What could he do if he had that?
He'd be missing them all. Bounce it to him.
Don't do that, Skip.
He bounced a few last night.
Don't do that.
Whoa.
What about your guy? Your guy got all that, Skip.
So, bottom line, Shannon Sharpe wanted my guy to get $42 million a year so that my team would be strapped against the cap. They could get him no more help, and we would be stuck with an F quarterback, a failed quarterback.
Skip, first of all, you guys are under contract. You guys, the only guy that's going to be up is Michael Gallup. Okay, you got C.D. Lamb, so you won't miss a beat there. And you got Cedric Wilson, and you got the other 85, can't recall his name.
Noah Brown.
So, Skip, you're going to be sad. You're going to probably lose Gallup.
Yep.
But it's okay.
But we got DeMarcus Lawrence saying after the game, we're soft. And I'm thinking, you said that, and I don't even remember you playing yesterday.
First of all, he did make a play on the 3rd down and 1 where he caught the back in the backfield, but that was on Baker because you're supposed to be able to hold it with the play fake. But Baker just handed the ball and just stood there. So if you play fake, you got him dead to right. Just because you just want him to just pause just a little bit, Skip, like the Peyton Manning did, y'all. You remember when Peyton ran the boot on you guys. Everybody bit, even fooled the camera guy. But Skip, y'all are fine. This division is trash. I don't see a win on the Giants in the future. Washington is what they are, the football team, and the Eagles have issues of themselves. The Cowboys are fine.
You got it wrong. It's not the division that's trash. It's my team. My team is trash.
Well, you're not worse than the Giants. You're not worse than the football team.
I'm not even sure of that right now. I'm not sure of anything.
Listen, I'm just telling you, don't offer me any points because I don't want it. I'm not betting you this week, okay?
Well, I'm not betting on them again.
Oh, yeah, you're going to bet them again. Oh, you're going to bet them again.
Done.
Oh, walk into them.
About you, Skip, during these Cowboys games. I honestly want to check in on you while these games are happening just to make sure you're still doing okay.
No mercy.
Jimmy Butler had a career game last night to keep the series interesting against LeBron and the Lakers. With Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic both out due to injury, Butler had a 40-point triple-double in Miami's 115-104 win. LeBron and Anthony Davis only combined for 40 points. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joining us this morning. Chris, it is so good to have you. Here's the thing. Earlier on the show, Skip said this was the biggest upset in NBA Finals history. Do you agree?
Wow. Well, first of all, let me be honest. I generally don't think of individual games in the finals, in terms of biggest upsets, because ultimately, if you don't win the series, it really doesn't matter. I will say this. If the Heat were to win this series, I do think this would be the biggest upset in finals history. But as far as individual games, I cannot give this to the Heat for a few reasons. Number one, the Lakers, this, as great as Jimmy Butler was and the rest of his players, this was more about the Lakers just laying down, just being complacent, overconfident, not executing. They shot more than half of their field goal attempts were three-pointers. I believe that's the first time in history that's ever been the case in a Lakers game. So they weren't playing their game. They got away from themselves, and that's a big part of why the Heat won, because the Lakers took them lightly. Secondly, the Heat didn't have to deal with any type of adversity as far as being on the road and a raucous crowd that's against you. They didn't have to deal with any of that. So I look at two series in particular where I would say individual games were bigger upsets than what we saw last night. I'll go to the 04 Pistons when they upset the Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, Gary Payton Lakers. Now, we know that series was a huge upset. They won in 5. But I would say the Pistons winning game 3 and 4 were bigger than last night because they had the Lakers' full attention. Like, they win game 1, the Lakers, okay, everybody was telling them they were going to smack Detroit around, so they take them lightly, they lose. They come back and win game 2. But games 3 and 4, the Lakers were on alert, and the Pistons still beat them. Then I would go to the 2001 Philadelphia 76ers over the Lakers again, Shaq, Kobe. Game 1. Now remember, the Lakers had run through the West. They had swept through the West. Portland, led by Rasheed Wallace. Sacramento, led by Chris Webber at the height of his powers. San Antonio, led by Tim Duncan and David Robinson. The Lakers swept them. They get to the finals. Here come the little Philadelphia 76ers, led by Allen Iverson in the Staples Center. Iverson puts 48 on them, and they win game 1. So that would, to me, those three would have been bigger than what we saw last night. I would say last night was more like 1999 when the New York Knicks, the 8th-seeded Knicks, without Patrick Ewing, they got Allen Houston, Latrell Sprewell, Marcus Camby. They win game 3 against the Spurs. The Spurs had won the first 2 games. They weren't worried about the Knicks. They lost game 3, and they win 4 and 5 and ended in 5 games. I thought that's what this was like last night.
Go ahead. You want to go? Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Chris, got big issues with everything you just said. I want to put this in perspective for everyone out there. In game 1 of this series, the Miami Heat lost their leading scorer in the playoffs, Goran Dragic, and they lost Bam, who is their heart and soul player, and he had led them through the playoffs in rebounds and assists and blocking shots. Well, that's so much that you lost from the top of your team that you're left with the Jimmy Butler, who's not a prolific scorer. In the closeout game against Indiana, he scored 6. Along the trail against Milwaukee and then Boston, he had a 13-point game and a 14-point game. He is happy to score little because he's got little to no ego. So for him to have the greatest 40-point triple-double in the history of the finals, even greater than LeBron's back in 2015 Game 5 when they lost badly. They lost by 14 to Golden State. Or Jerry West, if you want to go all the way back to 1969, the closeout game, it went overtime, and they did lose it by 2. So they were both in defeat. But in this case, this was Jimmy Butler against the Lakers. This was Jimmy Butler against the two best players by far on the floor in AD and LeBron. This was Jimmy Butler going head-to-head with LeBron and guarding him much of the game and outplaying him head-to-head, outwilling him, out-trash-talking him, and in the end, outlasting him because I think Jimmy, obviously LeBron's at age 35, ending year 17, Jimmy is able to play at a higher level longer in these games, going into the 45-minute range than LeBron is at his advanced age. So given all that, given the fact that nobody gave them a shot last night, I give you the 2001 game because the odds makers said that was a 12-point game. This was a 9-point game last night. But when you're betting against Allen Iverson and Dikembe Mutombo, both in the Hall of Fame, and to your point, Iverson goes off with 48 and 5 steals, and Mutombo has 13, 16 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Your Hall of Fame. Last night, it was just Jimmy Butler against the world, and he didn't get much help from his starting lineup because they weren't very good last night. If you look at what did the Heat do? Jay Crowder in the starting lineup was 2 for 8. Duncan Robinson was 3 of 10 from 3.
Hero was all right.
Yeah, and he shot
Hero was
6.
great late.
Okay, but he was 6 of 18 total, so he had a long stretch where he was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So they are starting Tyler Hero at age 20, the youngest player ever to start in a finals game. I'm sorry, that's the greatest upset single game ever under the circumstance when they should have been demoralized. They should have been down and out because they had lost their two best players so far in the playoffs.
But, Skip, when I look at it, look, in a vacuum, no question about it, Bam is better than Olynyk. But Bam plays right into the Lakers' hands because it allows them to play their big lineup. It allows them to play AD at the 4, plays Dwight Howard at the 5, get another big. LeBron is a point guard, but another big. Well, when you bring Olynyk in, now all of a sudden, Dwight Howard has to play above the three-point line. So his ability to block shots, his ability to rebound, to challenge shots is negated because he has to honor Kelly Olynyk. He has to honor Myers Leonard. They don't have to worry about that with Bam because Bam isn't shooting threes. So in a vacuum, absolutely Bam is better than both players, but he plays directly into their hands. Skip, you told me from that stretch, from 2000 to like 03, Shaquille O'Neal was the most dominant force we had ever seen. If you look at his finals numbers, he's 38 and 16. And Allen Iverson, a 5'11 guy, come in and beat him and Kobe. And
wait, Dikembe's 7'2"?
Yeah, but Shaq.
5 blocks,
and Kobe,
16 rebounds?
And Kobe. And I agree with you. I went with the bad boy Pistons, too. You do realize, even though the Pistons won game 2, it took Kobe hitting a 3 to send the game in overtime for them to win game 2. So I also agree with you, Chris. I'm not a guy that looks at a game within the game because this is a series. If you don't win the series, who cares about game 1? Yeah, it's a great story, and you can have, if a guy goes to the Hall of Fame, you can play this as a great backdrop. But you got to win. This is not football. This is not an individual situation where it's one game and you win. But for me, I still believe, and I agree with what you said, Chris. I believe the 0-1 Lakers loss and the 0-4 Lakers loss in game 1 were bigger upsets than this.
And I think...
Skip, I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I think Jimmy Butler's performance was historic. And we've rarely seen him just be that type of playmaker, where he's handling the ball like a LeBron, like a James Harden, and he's creating for everybody. Like, he showed us some stuff that we really haven't seen a lot from him. His passing ability, he had some terrific passes. Obviously, offensively, he was hot, able to score. But I'll give you that it was from a non-superstar. Butler, at this rate, not a Hall of Famer, right? I mean, he'd have to go on a nice tear to do that. So this was a tremendous individual performance by him that can go down historically. But I think this was just more about the Lakers just not showing up. And LeBron got outside of himself and was forcing the action. That's why he had so many turnovers. AD obviously had one of those. It seems like every several playoff games, he has a clunker where he only takes like 9 shots or only gets a handful of rebounds. And I thought that's what this was more about. And even still, the Lakers almost won.
Yeah, with 8:45 left, Rondo makes one up off the glass, and Lakers are up 2. And I thought, oh, LeBron's got this one. And in the fourth quarter, LeBron stunk it up. Let's not give him a pass. No, he had 4 turnovers, and he went 0 for 3 from 3. If he'd made any one of those threes, they were wide open, uncontested. They could have felt like dagger kind of shots where it'd be like, oh, no, we can't overcome that. If he'd made any one of them, especially if he'd made 2 of them, we'd be having a different conversation. So it was a shameful loss. LeBron owes his team. Tomorrow night, game 4, and here we go.
When you ever known LeBron James not to pay it back?
I don't know.
Pay it back in full.
Oh, well, he didn't pay it back against Dallas
Especially
in 2011
when Butler
finals,
talking
did he?
trash?
Yeah. And I told
When Butler talking trash?
Yeah, you remember the last time?
Wait, no, LeBron started it.
That's what Jimmy said. You
guys
Jimmy at his
are
word?
in trouble, he said LeBron to Jimmy after the first quarter.
Jimmy should have let it go.
Should have let it go.
Really?
But we didn't hear LeBron say that. We heard Jimmy say that.
Well, then LeBron let it go because he walked off the court with 10 seconds left, and Pat Riley will not love that. And he will be talking to his team about that.
Well, we got to talk. Don't worry about it. We're going to talk to our team. Jeannie Buss going to have a conversation with our team.
Yeah,
it's not a good look. Whatever LeBron had to say about it, I didn't like it. Chris, we appreciate you joining us this morning. We'll check in soon.
No mercy.
Dak Prescott has gotten off to a historic start statistically. He is now the only quarterback to ever pass for over 450 yards in 3 straight games, and he now also holds the record for most yards through a 3-game stretch. Dak also leads the league in passing by over 300 yards, but the Cowboys are only 1-3. Fox Sports NFL analyst Michael Vick joining us this morning. Mike, it is great to have you. So here's the question. Despite Dak leading the league in passing yards, are the Cowboys actually just a bad football team?
Well, I will say this. They're not bad offensively, but defensively, they're bad. And before I get into my point, I just want to highlight one play, the reverse to Odell Beckham that I think sealed the game. Obviously, Alden Smith had a chance to make the play in the backfield, which would have been a game-changing play. And Odell, is as talented and as athletic as he is, makes the play. But if you see these 2 guys, I think it was a safety and a linebacker that just ran completely out of bounds, ran right past Odell Beckham and didn't make the tackle. That's unacceptable. And, I got Pop Warner teams that I sponsor that will allow those guys to get away with that, but not in the National Football League. If you watch this safety and this linebacker, they ran right out of bounds like they didn't see Odell. And that summed it all up yesterday, that the offense needs help. The defense is not, playing up to par by any standard or any stretch. And, we can say it's a plug-and-play attitude right now with the guys. You got guys hurt and injured, and they just been plugged in. But they're better than that. And if this was the roster that they started out the season with, then I will be saying overall they're a bad football team because now the defense don't have any excuses. But, in terms of just, football 101, that's just tackling and putting your hands on the guy or seeking a football. Those guys looked like they didn't even see Odell. They ran right past him, almost like they were starstruck. It was unbelievable to watch, and the offense isn't getting any help. And therefore, not a bad offense, bad defense.
So I'm just trying to figure out how we do this in a team sport. We can differentiate. How we do that, Mike? So is it not? So it's the Dallas Cowboys offense against the Dallas Cowboys defense, or are we a team? So if we're a team, we bad, right? Because even if
exactly.
Okay, how about this? How about I give it to you like this? The defense right now is historically bad, and the offense is inconsistent. Because when the score was tied 14-14, Dak Prescott and that offense went 5 straight possessions, got 5 first downs, and Dak was 8 of 15 for 53 yards. Is that good?
No, that's bad. But, I mean, look, they got defense on the other side of the ball, too. So,
no. That's not what you said. That's not what you said, Mike.
That's back and forth, Shannon, you know that?
Mike, that's not what you said. You said the Cowboys' offense is good. So, are the defenses they're going against?
I'm saying they play up to standard. I mean, they score 40 points, however you look at it. You know, that's enough to win the game. At some point, the defense got to make stops.
Well, how are you scoring those 40? I want to know how you get those 40. Are they coming when you're down by 27, you down by 19, you down by 16? I'm just trying to are you getting those in the floor of the game?
It don't matter how they come, Shannon, as long as the points come when needed.
I tell you what's coming.
At some point, the defense if they make a stop right there, if they make the tackle on Odell, they could get 3 instead of 7. It changes the dynamic of the whole game.
I tell you what I've seen from the Cowboys at the first quarter of the season. I've seen more L's than dubs. Now, that's what I see. Now, we can go back and forth about offense good, defense bad, or this and that, but all I know is that you keep telling me this offense is good, but they keep catching the L's.
Okay, let me sum this up for both of you. I'm a lifelong Dallas Cowboy fan, and I have never seen anything this putridly bad. This is nothing but a bad football team from start to finish. If maybe my offense could play my defense every Sunday, maybe I'd be 4-0, but it doesn't work like that. So what does it often tell you guys? You guys know football. You guys were really good at football. If you are dead last in turnover ratio at -7, what does that tell you about your team?
Your team is turning over and you're not getting it.
That's correct. You're just bad. What does it tell you when you have allowed the most points by far in pro football? You're just bad. What does it tell you when yesterday at home as a 5.5-point favorite, you allowed 307 rush yards, a franchise worst? They started in 1960. No Cowboy team has ever given up 307 rushing yards. What was it? 7.7 yards a crack?
Yep.
That's like that's like the old Oklahoma wishbone days, right? With Greg Pruitt and Joe Washington. Joe Washington running.
Yep.
Okay. So the point is, in the end, I don't care about all the sis boom ba on the offense. I don't care that Dak is leading the league in passing yards. I don't care that yesterday in the fourth quarter, he threw for 254 on 21 of 30. He had a good game in the fourth quarter. They were hopelessly behind. I am tired of watching the same Halloween horror movie 4 straight times. It's the same show. Same song, 4th verse, right? You fall hopelessly behind. Your quarterback's a warrior, and he tries to dig you out of a hole that he helped dig. He should have had 4 picks yesterday, and he had 1 and lost a fumble. You can't overcome that when you're just a bad football team.
Correct.
And then, Michael Vick, thank you for bringing up the Odell play, because Aldon Smith actually did his job. He made Odell bend it back 20 yards, 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage. What usually happens when a play gets bent back 20 yards? The defense rallies to the football. Shouldn't you have had 8 DBs, eight defenders over there just waiting to make the tackle? Shouldn't it have been a 5-yard loss at best? And to Michael's point, nobody even tried. They ran past him like they were starstruck. Let's just let him run.
Skip, if you look at it, Odell was thinking about running out of bounds. Look at him.
He was.
He's like,
wait, you're not going to tackle me? And you're not going to tackle me? I think I'll keep running and I'm going to score.
What happened, Vic?
I'm saying, why is the linebacker Smith the last guy in pursuit? Why is he the last guy chasing Odell? The play started off on the left side. With the flow of the play from the left side, it ended up to the right. The safety should have already been tracking the ball. Come on, we got Smith. The safety is 28. It just don't make sense. So, yes, this is summing up to be some bad football by the Dallas Cowboys.
It's just bad football. And, Michael, to your point, You roar back into the game. You're only down 3 with 3:42 left. And the first thing you do is you do another weird squib kick that they just catch and run with and get it out to the 50-yard line. You can't give them that kind of field position. And then they call a trick play that nobody tries to tackle Odell on. Really?
Yeah, I love it.
What are you doing?
Hey, y'all Cowboys.
Yeah.
To Skip's point, I'm really tired after 4 weeks of watching the Cowboys come from behind. I mean, consecutive weeks of the same game flow, the same type of game. It's the same visual. I actually, I got the direct ticket. I had to go to another game because I just didn't feel like this was going to turn out the right, with the right outcome for Dallas. And, instantly I started getting my mind ready for this conversation that we was going to have this morning.
Thank you.
So I've only been a part of it. I don't know, Mike, how many teams you've been a part of. I've only been a part of one team that's ever rushed for 300 yards, and that was in a playoff game against Jacksonville after they beat us the first time, Skip. We made sure that didn't happen again. We beat the brakes off of
At Denver?
Yeah, it was at Denver.
All right.
Do you understand what it takes, the mindset? First of all, running is the hardest thing you'll do in the NFL because you're moving a man against his will. He says, I'm not going anywhere. And I'm saying, the hell you not. And to move him and to look how many guys, Skip, they had with 70-plus yards. One guy, 13 for 95. Odell had 2 carries for 73. Kareem Hunt had 11 for 73. Nick Chubb got injured. He had 6 for 43 before he got up out the game. So they might have been at 400 had Chubb stayed in the ball game. This is unacceptable. They got too many guys making too much money on that side of the football. But you look at that touchdown run by Odell, that's effort. That ain't anything else.
All
that's just effort.
And lack of heart.
Yes. But when if they put that together, they should come in and watch that as a team and just show that play right there. And Mike McCarthy says, this is why we lost the game. Now, I want you to tell me you giving me effort on this play right here.
All right, well, now the Giants come to town for the Cowboys.
Let's go, Giants!
Let's go. See.
Come on, Jason Garrett.
Danny get a win this week.
Put them out of their misery.
Oh, that would be an interesting.
Oh, Danny Dimes.
Both not too proud of the records they have. Mike, we appreciate you. We'll check in with you soon.
No mercy.
LeBron and the Lakers missed their opportunity to take a 3-0 series lead over the Heat last night. While that would have all but guaranteed a Lakers title, LeBron remained confident after the Game 3 loss moving forward. Take a listen.
I know how resilient that bunch is and how resilient their coaching staff is and their franchise. So, I don't ever feel like we went into it and haven't, let our guard down and also I don't feel like we're concerned. We're not concerned. We know we can play a lot better. And we have another opportunity to take a commanding lead on Tuesday.
Okay, so Shannon, will the Lakers take a commanding lead tomorrow night?
Yes. I've said it before. I don't believe they'll lose another game in this series. And I believe Friday night it'll be over. The Lakers understand that they can't be careless, reckless with the basketball. This team comes out every night. Or whatever, the Heat comes out every night believing they belong here. Like, look who we beat to get here. It's not like, everybody just decided not to come in. They just threw us in the Eastern Conference. We're the representative. We beat teams to get here. Now, really, Skip, I'll be honest, the only team that I picked them to beat was Indiana. I was like, they're going to beat Indiana. Indiana ain't going to do anything. I was like, nah, they're not going to. I said, I think it'd go 6 games, but I think the Bucks will get them. And then I thought the Celtics would get them, would get Miami once they got past Milwaukee. But watching them play and how they execute in crucial moments, they're going to be a tough out. And I think the Lakers realize that they're a tough out. But the Lakers, as poorly as Skip with 20 turnovers, and as poorly as they shot the ball, and as close as rebounding the margin was, the Lakers still had an opportunity to win this game.
Absolutely.
So many things. Do you believe Jimmy Butler is capable of having another historic night like this? I do not. And without that type of a historic performance, I don't believe they can do it. I know LeBron and AD are capable of going for 60, having 20-plus rebounds, having 20-plus assists. That is what I expect. I expect those role players because when LeBron and AD go off, they seem to gain confidence and the ball seems to go in the hoop more. So I expect them to do exactly what LeBron said, play a lot better and take a commanding lead tomorrow night.
I must admit, I was stunned at how blasé and nonchalant LeBron was after the game. I don't know if his pride was hurt and he wanted to just sort of shrug and almost yawn and say, we got this, because that's how I interpreted what we just saw.
He's the leader. And the leader can't show that he's concerned.
Do you remember what happened down the stretch of game one? They had been up 32 and they lost a little bit of the lead, and LeBron went crazy yelling at everybody. You can't do that.
Yep.
After the game, he was steamed about it. He was much angrier after game one, in which they had pulled off a, what was it, 77-32 run in the middle of that game. He was much unhappier with that game than he was with this game last night. And I'm like, LeBron, aren't you going to send a message? You got to take this far more seriously?
Well, I think the thing was, Skip, is that he realized how well they played offensively. He knows they didn't play well offensively last night. He knows they can play better. He's saying if we play our best, they play our best, we crush them by 20. When they play their best and we play our B, C, we play our C or D game, this is what happens. So he says, guys, we're not going to panic. We're gonna watch. Ain't no practice now, Skip. It's all film study, shoot around, and get loose, get the blood flowing. That's it. Let's look at this tape, see what we did here, see what we did there. We'll correct these mistakes, and we'll do what we do. It's gonna be big. I'm talking about I'm saying like somewhere between 125 and 135. That's what the Lakers scoring tomorrow.
To what?
It's gonna be a whole lot to a few. We beating them by 15.
By 15?
15.
I think you were going for more like 20 or 30.
Nah. I'm saying like, I say, you know what? I'll say 130, 115.
You should, and I believe you will, win this game by 25 points.
25?
You're that much better than this shorthanded, undermanned, just outmatched team. They have lost their leading scorer in the playoff. They have lost their leading rebounder, leading assist man, leading shot blocker, and Bam. And I'm pretty sure neither is coming back. I think Bam would have a better chance than Dragic to come back. But
I hope Bam comes back.
I'm going to doubt that.
I hope he comes back.
Because you think they're a much better test for you with Kelly Olynyk or Myers Leonard in the lineup. And I'm laughing at that the very prospect of Kelly Olynyk scares you more than Bam does.
Because Kelly Olynyk, Skip, he caught when Bam got hurt, he came in and got a rhythm. Remember on game 2, he had 24. So he's shooting the 3 ball well. And so that's what concerns me, is that a big, that's why I was never concerned about Portland. You can't play those 2 bigs. You play into our hands. Now, Houston gave me some concern because they can stretch the floor. But then when we went Marcus, we were still bigger than they were because they had no answer for AD. Now you got 2 guys that can stretch the floor, that can shoot threes, that are perfectly fine shooting the threes. And so the difference is that Bam is looking for the pick and roll. He's looking to get to the rim. These other guys are looking pick and roll. They're pick and pop. They'll shoot the 3 ball on you. So that concerns me.
Fox Bet has dropped the betting line from 9 points down to 7 points.
Okay.
So if you were a betting man, Shannon Sharpe, you should get a bunch of this.
Yeah, I want all that. I want all that.
You want all that.
I want all that.
You could retire off this one game.
Bet it.
Why
Whatever
don't you
got.
just bet the ranch?
Whatever look like my
Bet the palatial estate on it.
Like my grandma say, whatever little piece of money I got, I bet it on the Lakers.
Okay, here we go.
No mercy.
The Eagles pulled off an upset against the Niners last night thanks to Philly's defense forcing 3 turnovers. The first win for the Eagles means they are now just 1-2-1, but that's good enough to sit atop the NFC East in first place. So, Skip, what did the Eagles show you last night? I shouldn't laugh.
The Eagles showed me that right now they are better than my Dallas Cowboys, especially on defense, because they can flat out rush the passer. They were all over Nick Mullins all night. He had thrown for 346 at Giants, and they bedeviled him. They tormented him into 3 turnovers and hung in a game that Carson Wentz finally won, throwing to somebody off the practice squad.
Yeah.
And I admired your man bounce it to him, Wentz, because he was still bouncing it to him, but he hung in there and hung on, made some plays with his legs where he's at his best getting outside the pocket. And he gutsed it up and made one big throw that won the game. And I must tell you, seriously, I was relieved after the nightmare I'd gone through earlier in the day. I was relieved that my team wasn't tied for first in the NFC least. It doesn't deserve it. My team's just a bad football team. Maybe it'll get a little better, but I don't want to see this team be a default division champ. I don't want to see a counterfeit playoff team that has a home playoff game in the first round that it gets blown off the field and embarrassed in. I'm sick and tired of watching that. I'd rather the Eagles go ahead and sort of come back together around, walk it to them, and maybe Jalen Hurts will contribute here and there. They tried to get him 3 or 4 plays going last night, and they should represent the East right now because they at least look like somewhat of a legitimate football team.
Now you see why I gave him the nickname Walk It To Him.
Because of what?
You saw what he did last night. You saw that throw? Now,
that wasn't walk it to him. That was a floater up into the heavens.
Now,
in fact, the receiver, Fulgham, said, I lost it in the lights.
And all he did was put his hands, he lost it in his light. He just stuck his hands up and the ball landed in like it had GPS tracking.
Yeah.
Boom.
He's been the most inaccurate passer in the league the first 3
Amazon
games.
dropped that package off using the drone.
Really?
Yeah, I thought the drone had dropped it off to him. But hold on. This is what Wentz is throwing to. Now, he doesn't have D-Jack, no Alshon. His first-round pick, Jalen Reagor, is on IR. So his wide receiver group last night was 5th-rounder rookie Hightower, Greg Ward Jr.
I love him. I told you I loved him last year.
Who was a converted QB.
Yep.
And 2 practice squad guys, Dante Burnett and Travis Fulgham. Now, he don't have a C.D. Lamb. He doesn't have a Michael Gallup. He doesn't have an Amari Cooper.
But he has a defense.
Walk it to him.
He has a defense.
Walk it to him.
Dak has no defense. Dak can't play safety.
The Cowboys defense says with Dak, when you had the ball 5 times and you got 53 yards, what did you have then?
Yep.
What were you doing then?
I don't know, but I'm not sure my team can beat the Giants, and that would really put my team out of the game. Yep.
Watch Danny Dimes throw for 300.
You think so?
Well, if he did,
he should.
I would feel a lot better if he had Saquon, but since they don't have anybody that can run the football, they probably won't be able to rush the ball like everybody else has been able to run the ball down your throat. But anyway.
He could throw for 300 underhanded.
I want to talk about my guy that happens to be right now at the quarter pole in first place with no Alshon, no D-Jack, no Jalen Reagor. Miles Sanders been nicked up. Oh, Jason Peters is on IR. The left tackle that they took in the first round, he's on IR. Barrett is on IR. Yep. They just got back the last couple of games. They got back Lane Johnson.
But he got hurt last night. You know, he was out.
And he doing that and walking to him doing all of this with that.
He sucked it up.
Give him Amari, give him Gallup, give him CD, give him Wilson, give him Noah Brown, give him Schultz.
Give Dak the Philly defense, and Dak would be 4-0 right now.
If you gave Dak the Philly defense with that offense, Dak would be 0 for just like he is right now. Can you imagine Dak? Because we saw what Dak was when he couldn't throw to Amari. Remember, that's why they went and gave up 2 first-rounders to get Amari. Because what Dak was doing with practice squad guy. Look at what my guy doing with practice squad guy. Can you imagine if he had A++ receivers? What?
Your guy was really shaky much of the night last night.
And won.
But at least he didn't throw it except one time to the other team.
What my guy don't do is don't save the best for last. Wait till I get down 29.
I think he did, actually.
No, he didn't.
No mercy.
Well, tonight, the Patriots will have their hands full trying to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense with Cam Newton unavailable after a positive COVID-19 test. So, Shannon, you bet Skip that Belichick would have a better record than Brady this season. How much does losing Cam hurt your chances?
Uh-oh. It hurt my chances, but nobody had more people opt out because of COVID, Skip, than the Patriots. Remember, they had like 10 guys opt out.
They did.
And now the starting quarterback got hurt. But I think Cam should
he tested positive.
He tested positive. Excuse me, didn't get hurt. He tested positive. But I think Cam should have really gotten in his car and drove up to see his teammates off. You know, like somebody else did yesterday. But that's not the end of the Skip. Look, can I take the bet off? Can I reduce it?
You want to get out of it?
Well, I got to Skip. Come on. Oh, first of all, they weren't going to beat Kansas City with Cam.
I don't know. I'd give him a shot. I told you the other day I gave him a shot.
Are you going to give him a shot with Hoyer?
Heck no.
Okay.
And I think you're starting to be in some deep, hot water right now.
It ain't looking good.
Because this is a 5 cases bet.
It ain't looking good for the home team.
Really?
It ain't looking good for the home team.
Are you ready to give up?
Nope.
I will let you concede the bet, and it'll cost you only 3 cases. You want to concede? Take 3-case loss? Give it up?
Okay.
He just did it.
Yeah, because okay, Cam has to test positive. He's asymptomatic right now, so he has to test positive 5 days after the initial. So he might miss the next game.
He well might. Yep.
Let me think about it. I got to pray on it.
You got to pray on it, as if. Yeah.
I gotta pray on this, girl. Because I ain't one. I don't like to concede. I don't like concessions.
Tampa Bay is now 3-1. Thank you.
Big prayer guy, Shannon Sharpe. All right, you let us know if your prayers are answered. That is it for us. Good stuff, guys. We're back same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Have a good day.